Hello and welcome to all Brave New Media participants who joined us online. This is the 6th annual conference, especially made for youth to express youth creativity in this place. This time we are in Belgrade and also streaming live in a, let's say, first time in a hybrid form. So for starters, let me introduce Klaus Dahmen for all of those who joined us online. And Klaus, let's get to the point immediately. Can you share some insights about Brave New Media Forum? I know you're keen to do that and to introduce our event to the people.
Yeah, this year, thank you. Hello, everybody. This year we are going to focus a little bit more on this information. We are focusing on brave media, on courageous media. We're focusing on new media, on innovative media, but we're also focusing on the dangers that surround media, and this is why I think the name Brave New Media Forum, which somehow associates to Brave New World, really like a dystopia of what might be happening to this whole surrounding, to this media landscape and to the whole world. Yes, we have to really stick to the dangers and how to encounter the dangers of media nowadays. I think, therefore, Brave New Media Forum is really a right title. Thank you.
Yes, this is definitely a never-ending topic, and we are very keen to know what young people, actually journalists and all the activists who came here to the Brave New Media thinks about this topic and to share their knowledge. But don't be afraid, you're not alone in this in this opening panel. We also have Karsten von Namen, Managing Director of DV Academy with us, I suppose. Hello, Karsten. Welcome to the Brave New Media Forum. I hope you can hear me. I can see that we have a little bit of interference here with the sound, but I hope as we go that our techs will maybe try to work with this. Until we solve the problem, as you know, we are in live streaming, it could happen. Maybe we can also tell more something about the program for tomorrow, because I think that also people will be able to look at us, actually watch our program at 4 p.m. tomorrow, what they could expect, what we can see.
Well, for tomorrow we have different projects of cooperation in the region. We see, for example, a project that was established by OSCE between Niš and Elbasan. We see some projects of well, how to report on reconciliation, going to different countries and trying to find out what is happening in this region. We're trying to find out how native advertising works for media, native advertising, another way of advertising. Some may have with the fear that native advertising is something like hidden advertising. It is not, but it is really an interesting way of, or modern way of financing media. We're going to talk about toxic masculinity, a very interesting topic that has really become quite hot, I would say, in the past months, and we found out that in different countries in Eastern Europe and in Southeastern Europe and also in Western Europe, this topic has really become very, very much discussed because of, some people, some men appearing in the media sphere that, well, obviously have problems with feminism. And so I would just like to, not to spoil everything, but just to have you here tomorrow when we're talking about these very interesting and a little bit provocative topics. I think this will be really great.
Always provocative. But since I think we have a couple of minutes left, so Klaus, can you maybe tell us, when you started this project, actually working on this project and everything else, why young people? Why youth?
Yeah, actually, I stated that a lot of media would not really focus on young people, even not public service media that much, because like young people, they are not their primary target group. And some of the media, well, responsible persons in the management, told me, well, we can't reach this young generation because they are just on the social media and they are not interested in news, they are not interested in politics, they're not interested in what we are doing. We can't get them. So I said, maybe we'll have a try just looking for the right ways how to address them. And astonishingly, we really found ways how to get to these young people, and not only to report on young people, not only to report for young people, but especially to report with young people, including young people also in the media making.
Thank you, Klaus. Well, I can see that we finally, I hope, solved the problem. So, Carsten, can you hear us now?
I can hear you much better, the quality is much better, and I hope I also sound better than before.
Yes, you do, definitely. Well, welcome to the Brave New Media Forum. I'm not sure if you already heard the opening words that Klaus shared with everyone, but could you maybe tell us, because the big topics this year on Brave New Media Forum are disinformation and the fact checkers group and the journalists who are dealing with the investigative journalism, actually. So can you maybe share what activities Deutsche Welle is actually conducting worldwide regarding these topics?
Yes, sure. There's a lot actually that we do. You just mentioned fact-checking and investigative journalism. We do that around the planet, really, in Colombia, where we also work with a number of journalists who were also then involved in discovering or publishing the Panama Papers. We work in Africa with a number of initiatives. A very great one I've visited earlier this year was our partner in Burkina Faso, Faso Check. Great people, you know, obviously the situation in their country is very difficult. They had 2 military coups over the last 12 months. They have to deal with a major economic crisis, but they're doing great work and they're really checking each other all the time. I found that very impressive. You know, they're very, very sincere, very thorough, because they know they can not afford to be wrong even one time, because right now they are the authority for checking information in their country, and newspapers, radio stations, and so on are referring to their results. And so they're really serious about not getting it wrong. And that's very important. You know, we need reliable sources in this day and age. And that we do all over the place, as I said, all the way to Mongolia and also obviously in Eastern and Southeastern Europe. We also do a lot in the area of media and information literacy. They're focusing very much on young people. I mean, both Klaus and I, we still feel young, but we don't look it, I guess. So, but we are working with young people quite a lot. You know, not us really, but we are trainers from youth organizations, from initiatives in Namibia, in Southwest Africa, in Bangladesh, in other places, also in South America and so on, and again in Europe. And we want to make sure that they don't just know how to use their mobile phones, but also how to deal with social media, how to distinguish fake news from real news, and so on. And the last big thing we do is also we work with local media a lot, because local media are often the ones that are seen as the most reliable, most credible by many people. And it's very important, you know, when you have big media companies who either cater to the will of a businessman or businesswoman or to state governments and authorities, you need to have some independent media. Very often those are on the local level, where the big companies and the governments don't look too closely, but those are often the sources for many people where they get real information. So we support those as well.
You actually gave me a great introduction to my last question to you. As you already said that you feel young, as Klaus also, what piece of advice what's the best advice you can share to a young journalist?
I think you always have to keep in mind that your credibility is your biggest asset as a journalist. At least, if you are an independent journalist or you try to promote facts or the truth or whatever you want to call it. Don't risk it for being the fastest. Of course, you have to be fast. Of course, we have to try to be also on the market. So we cannot, do research for weeks and weeks and then the story has moved on. But do the research, check the facts, because once you lose credibility, you're lost. And all you can do is you can sell yourself to the highest bidder in the sense of, again, some oligarch media or some government propaganda tool. But if you really want to be credible for your audience, for the users and so on, you have to make sure that you are credible, that you are believable. And the other thing I'd like to say, because these days, maybe that's something you want to discuss, these days people often think that a good journalist is also an activist. I strongly disagree with that. I think it's our job as journalists to give those a voice who don't have a voice, or to make sure that the conversation within society is wholesome, that all sides get their say. But it's not our job to take sides, even if it's for a good cause, whether it's climate change, animal rights, LGBTQ rights, you name it. There are many good causes, but it's not our job to take sides. It's not our job to be activists. And again, it's about credibility. People have to believe in the things that we report. So we should stick with the truth, with the facts, and we should give a wholesome picture of what reality looks like. We can never achieve it 100%. I mean, it will always be a selection of bits and pieces, but we should try to be as truthful and as balanced as possible.
Well, a great way to end our first session. Thank you very much, Carsten and Klaus, of course, for joining us. Stay with us. We are back in a couple of minutes.